Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 15th of June. Hi, I'm Michael Gable, Managing Director at Fairmont Equities. Your Stock Request is the weekly video where I take your requests and analyse the share price charts. This week we have CSL, Patriot Lithium, Red 5, Ramsey Healthcare and ResMed. So if you have a request, please send it through. Make sure you're getting the free newsletter, but my best stock tips come out every Tuesday in the Dynamic Investor Report. So if you want my stock tips, make sure you're getting the Dynamic Investor Report. But if you do enjoy these videos, we'd love you to share them on social media or even leave us a review. Our main business is on the portfolio management side, so if you'd like to have a share trading account with me, please let me know and we can go through that together. And all the advice here is general only. So CSL, we can see that had that big fall yesterday, so big drop, big volume. Of course, not a good sign. However, there is, despite that fall, I think there is a chance that it doesn't go lower. So if we have a look at these sort of previous low points over the past year, it has been pulling back and bouncing quite sharply. So this might just be the same sort of thing. We can see it has been making higher lows. If I switch to the weekly, that's quite obvious from the lows early last year. So we've still got the higher lows. So as long as it maintains that, shouldn't be anything to worry about. And longer term, I think this is just one big consolidation after a massive run up. So the odds are you get an upside break from here, you still get significant upside. Okay, PAT. Obviously not listed too long, so just looking at the daily chart, from what we can see, obviously there was a nice run up here on volume and then it's eased all the way back. Looking at a possible sort of base build here, so after this pullback, possibly forming a base, and we could see the much lower volumes during this period. Recently jumped up on decent volume, although it couldn't really follow through. So look, potentially early signs that it's it's found a low here. I mean, you could be making an initial purchase here with a stop here at the base, and then add to the position when it clears these peaks, or even just wait for it to clear these peaks. If it does that, that would be the better opportunity. But as I said, I think that move on decent volume, so a bit of volume happening now in the stock means it could be finding its low. Okay, Red 5, so looks still in a downtrend, but again, early signs that it might be trying to find a low. If we look at what it's done recently, we could see this gap down at the time in February to what was a low at the time happened on massive volume, but instead of following through on the downside, that was pretty much it. So that might have been an exhaustive move, meaning after such a long period of falling share prices, a lot of people gave up on the stock, but that may well have been the turning point. We could see that there's been good volume on some of the days up. Obviously on the pullback here, lower volume, so doing the right thing and also sort of rounding out for those lows, which is a positive, and then good volume coming back in sort of recently on the way here. So still early days, but looking like it wants to start heading higher. I mean, what you could do is treat, based on the last couple of days and the volume, you could potentially treat that as an initial buy, but have a stop around here because you don't want to lose. I guess you could say it shouldn't pull back beyond these couple of days here when the volume kicked in. So you could initially do a buy here with a stop, and then as it starts to move beyond resistance levels, then you can turn it into a proper position by adding to it. Ramsey Healthcare, so again, we've got this sort of a lot of weakness here over the last year. I mean, most recently it's come back pretty sharply, big volumes on the way down, momentum still trending down. So yeah, nothing really to like about this one at the moment. It is near the recent low, so it might find support near the recent low. But at the moment, there's just no signs that it's trying to do that. So I'd say the risk for the moment is still to the downside. Okay, and finally ResMed. So I guess interesting price action here. I mean, this is one that we've sort of been in and out of. I'd be looking for an entry point, but I think it's still too early. I mean, what we had here, sort of classic case of running up pretty hard into a result, and then it gapped up massively on volume. I think it was the day after a quarterly result. Just broke to a new high, but then that got sold into, and it's never gone back up since. So, most likely an exhaustive move to the upside, exhaustive top, meaning, people have basically, investors have chased it and have just sort of, after watching it do this, finally pile in, only to be sold into, and we could see the momentum's to the downside, volume spikes on the way down. So risk is to the downside. I'd be, ResMed seems like one of those stocks that does move in these V shapes. So you'd look for support closer near $30 if you can get some kind of V-shaped move. Then that would be the next opportunity, but it's still early days. Okay, well that's all for this week. If you have a request, send it through and I'll try to cover it next week for you.